maybe, perhaps. Let's find out. Perhaps. Let's find out. Perhaps. Let's find out. Okay. That looks good. Looks good. Let's go post over here. Monthly live chat is up. Okay. Toot toot. I am not currently looking at the screen for anybody who's wondering where I am and what I'm doing. So I will be back to screen things in a bit. I am posting the fact that the live chat is up. Okay. Maybe? Yeah, go ahead. Thank you. Okay, we went there, we went there. And then, oh, live chat. Okay. Up, up, up. And then we turn Discord off so I don't get bombarded with things. And I take my phone and I turn it over to silent so my phone don't blow up at me either. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. Oh, hi everyone. So, take two. Here we are. We all know why it is take two. But I will go into the reason of like the full drawn out reason of why the live chat got pushed off for a day here in a couple minutes. On a side note, it almost got pushed off again 10 minutes ago. All right, so we're gonna do the book breakdown and then we'll get into the fun stuff because I'll probably cover the release stuff again. Okay, Dungeon Walkers 4 came out on the first of this month. It is doing exactly what I thought the fourth book of Dungeon Walkers would do. I will probably maybe just meet total bills and stuff, or it'll be just under, and that's why Dungeon Walkers 4 soft wraps things. The audiobook for Dungeon Walkers 4 is with Mountain Dale Press for Stephanie Savannah to do the audio for. Um, Audio wise, Antecedents Legacy 1, Andy recorded. We have signed a contract with Podium. They are going to be the ones handling the audio for it. My last contact with them on it said something about a release in May, which means they'll probably be doing a pre-order sometime here in the near future. Um, so once I have that, I will of course update people as normal. The next book to come out currently is going to be Lux Voice 6, Emerita Boxing Day, currently slated for April 12th. And then, of course, we have Binding Words 10, title to still be determined, looking at June 12th. And that is where all of the book stuff currently sits. Now, as for what has been going on at the house. So yesterday around, I want to say it was around 3-ish, my girlfriends suddenly started yelling for me because they needed help, and I'm like, "Whoa, something sounds bad." And as I was leaving the computer room, my one girlfriend came around the corner and she had a look of panic on her face, and she's not known for panic, so that really had me worried. And as I looked past her through the kitchen to the laundry room, my other girlfriend is sitting on the ground crying, and the puppo is in there with her, and that doesn't make me feel very good. And more to the fact, she is holding rags that are covered, covered in bright red blood. So yeah, that was a thing. A mad scramble at that point. We got the dog to the closest vet instead of the vet we normally go to, because the vet we normally go to is in Vegas, which is an hour and a half away. So we took him to the closest vet instead. Um, and while we're doing that, uh, Sammy stays at the house and starts trying to get things cleaned up because there was a lot of blood. And she does take a look outside and sees where the blood started, which was by our gate. We have an acre of property. Well, like the back 2/3 of that is all fenced in, but just out my back door is a smaller fenced in yard. We had closed the smaller yard because it had been raining an awful lot here in Nevada. We wanted to try to keep the mud down. We've done this before. However, our very sassy boy, Loki, Lowkey, is how his name is normally spelled, but today he was the god of mischief, decided he wasn't happy with the small yard. He wanted the big yard. So Puppo slammed his face, as far as we could tell, into the post next to the gate because he was trying to lift the latch to get out. Well, he did it hard enough to like burst blood vessels in his long ass snoot. He's a husky. He's got a long ass snoot. So he was pouring blood out of his nose, and anytime he'd breathe, it would be a spray of blood, and it was just gushing, pump, pump. So while he's blepping at it because he's got something coming out of his nose. Um, so I drive uh, Kiddish off to the vet with the dog in the back seat while Sammy stays at home trying to get things clean. Well, she's in the back seat with a couple of towels, trying to keep him kind of corralled. Well, he sneezes blood out and breathes blood out, and my back seat kind of looked like a murder scene, like the house did. And we get him to the vet, and he's bleeding all over the place. And they see him, and they give him some a tranquilizer that's also a blood pressure lowerer to see if they can help, calm him down and get the blood to not pump so freely. Um, they brought a mop in to clean up the drenched floor while things are going on. Long story short, too late. Um, he calms down enough, and the blood slowly stops. And okay, so we take him home. And he's out of it because of the medication. And they gave us some pills of the shot they gave him to help, like maybe keep things contained over the next couple of days. And they tell us, well, it might start dripping again. As long as it's not gushing or anything, or he should slowly make it over this. Of course, if you think there's a major problem, there's an emergency vet in Vegas. You know, okay. Well, as we were coming home with the dog, Sammy had heard about the car, so she was kind. She called one of the detail shops here in town and explained we had a bleeding dog emergency. And the guy was like, "Well, I'm not at my shop. I'm at my house, but I have the tools. So if you want to bring your car by, we can see about getting the blood out before it sets." Cool. That'd be nice because I eventually might need to sell the car. So I leave the dog at the house with them, and I drive over to the guy's house, which is not easy to find because he lives in a little sub community with like half dead end streets that don't connect and whatever. It only takes him about half an hour. He had all the equipment. He thought he was going to use like just a little hand buffer and like a spray bottle. He had to break out the compressor with the spray bottle because of how much he had to clean up. But half an hour to an hour later, he's done, and I get home, and the dog is kind of dopey, but doing okay. Um, right around 4 hours after that, so right around 8 o'clock, which is normally feeding time and whatnot, Puppo displaces the clot for the first time, and he starts bleeding again. Now it's not as bad, but it's still not great. So there's some concern, but after a little back and forth, they decide, okay, well we're gonna run with what we have. We gave him the meds again. We're gonna hope. That night is a panic thing. Sammy stayed up with him until the wee hours of the morning, and then Kiddish traded off with her, so we can always have eyes on him, so we know if something terrible goes on. He bleeds a couple more times during the night as he displaces clots and stuff. Most of today had been fine. Maybe when he went out to use the bathroom, he got a little more active. He get a couple drips out of things, but not terrible. Okay, things are improving. 10 minutes before I come on here to talk to you guys, Puppo goes out and uses the bathroom and sneezes hard, like 4 times. And of course, displaces like every clot in his snoot. And while it's not the drenching that it was the first time, it's still pretty blood for a little bit. Um, just before I kicked live, the blood had stopped again, so we think he's okay at this point. We think okay, another day or two of this, and we're probably gonna be okay. But we're gonna have somebody up with him again all night, and if something goes wrong again, we'll rush him off to the emergency vet. But that's been the last couple of days. So the live chat didn't happen yesterday because of bleeding dog. I have a picture of my girlfriend, which I'm not sharing with outside of like friends, because she had been in the back seat with the wheezing blood dog. She looks like she's a serial killer. She is spattered. She's got like blood spray all over her face and chest and down her arms. And if I need to know what if somebody who got hit with arterial spray looked like, I now know. So I'm pretty sure I can describe that fairly well at this point because good fucking gods. We were both worried. We were worried that he was losing too much blood. The vet said, no, no, his heart rate's still good. Blah 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 blah. So, I mean, he is a husky. He is a sizable dog, but fucking gods, it felt like he was bleeding out. It was terrible. So that's my last couple days, guys. Glad I'm here today. Wow. We were supposed to have Andy here. Andy, however, is dealing with her own medical things. She said on chat that she has a TMJ, basically. She's got a jaw thing going on. Um, and with all the talking she does for her job, it did limit how much talking she was going to do later in the evening. So uh, she did basically apologize to me because she had, was like, yeah, I'll come on, and then realized that no, probably not a great idea if she wants to be able to continue to do what she's doing. We'll try to get her on again in another month or two. But as I told Andy, health first. It's like why I also didn't try to jam in the live chat yesterday after I got home because I got home from the dog, the vet, the cleaning, and everything else, and it was a little after 6:30, plenty of time. I could have jumped on the live chat with you guys, but I was fucking drained, just done with the day. So anybody who pays attention to the Facebook or the Discord or the Twitter, that's what was going on. So yeah, yeah. So thank you for joining me and listening to my 10-minute rant about Puppo. He is, like I said, at the moment we're pretty sure he's okay. He is recovering. So that's basically all we can say. If need be, we'll rush him off, but it is. So let's see what else you guys have asked me while I've rambled for the last 10 minutes about Puppo. Hey Timus. Yeah, I mean it is kind of unfortunate about Dungeon Walkers 4, but when the books are my living, I have to be able to balance things. It's also why I try to give myself outs with any given series. Just certain parts where I could soft break something if I need to. That's why I do that though. Yes, Methfield and his friend Crackfield are both on the cat tree. My girlfriend has decided they live there now, and I refuse to touch the cursed beings, so I am not moving them. So yeah, Maybe that's why Loki suddenly had the issues, because the meth field was there. Hmm. So let's see. Well, I normally agree with you, Wolf. Huskies love getting into things. Our husky is named Loki, Lowkey, for a reason. He is the most unhusky like husky I've ever seen in my life. We might get one very simple woo if he's excited to go for a walk in the morning. He doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't get rambunctious. He doesn't destroy stuff. He is very laid back. So, but you're right. Normally huskies are like that, which is why when they brought one home, I was like, oh boy, a husky. And then we found out just how unhusky like he was, and I was like, okay, I like him. Ah. Well, I mean, suburbs would be correct, Jell, except I live in a small town an hour and a half outside of a major city. It's not really a suburb at that point because there's a whole lot of nothing between them. He's a husky, McKnight. He's, I don't know, average husky. What is that, like 50, 60 pounds or something? I don't know off the top of my head. He's a large dog. He's a maybe on the small side of large, but he is a large dog. Ah, well, I mean, if he was just auditioning for the part of a horror movie, he totally nailed it because he gave us all heart attacks. Ah, you filled the bottom of your tub with blood from your nose before. I mean, I've had I've had a bad nosebleed, but I've never had a nosebleed bleed that bad, McKnight. I would probably panic, honestly, if I was losing that much blood out of my nose. I mean, I do have a decent sized schnoz myself, so if that description's in the next book, we know where the imagery came from. Exactly, Jell. Exactly. Hi, Mom. Glad you could make it. I think you were here for part of the ramble about Puppo. Uh, now that you are writing Binding Words 10, excuse me, guys, one second. I have an itch in my back and I need to get it. Oh, God. Sometimes those itches are just not fun. Where was I? Something about Binding Words 10. Now that you're writing Binding Words 10, do you have a better feel on how many more books Binding Words are going to take? I think book 11 will wrap it up, Brian. Um, book 10, I'm thinking probably just the True Strike arc. And then book 11 will be Queens and other things that are coming up. Some of which gets alluded to in book 10. Um, so I'm thinking 11 books will actually will wrap out Binding Words. So that'll be weird. That's because that's like three 4 years of my life with Binding Words. I'd have to go back and look, but by the time I finish it, because I would be able to get like book 11 in like right at the end of the year, so I'd finish it at the in 23. Um, I want to say it'd be like 4 years of my life with Binding Words with the 11 books. I'd have to go back and look when I published the very first one, but yeah, it's a sizable chunk of my writing career has been with Binding Words. It at this point it is my longest running series to date as well. Book 9 did that since I wrapped Alpha World and Apocalypse Gates with book 8. So um, Aethers will surpass that unless something goes horribly wrong. Take your own advice. Health first. My health is fine outside of worry for my puppo. I've done everything I can for me. And I've tried to make sure the girls have their time, like away, where I can watch Puppo for a little bit so they can do stuff too. So the nice thing about having a poly relationship is there's more than just a pair of us. Um, so it does make breaking things up a little easier. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm not a little frazzled outlaw, especially since he had just started bleeding again shortly before this. But It wasn't the drenching it was, so it was that just that moment of, oh crap, is this happening again? Luckily not that bad at the moment, so and if it gets that bad, one of them will run in here and tell me that they're going off to Vegas and they'll jet out the door. Um, so no, I don't. It's not about feeling bad. I mean, that's why I went ahead and canceled it yesterday, like I did. I would feel bad about doing it 2 nights in a row, but if Puppy needed me, I would totally not have been here. So I really loved Dungeon Walkers. Sad that it's ending. I was half prepared to not like the new series out of resentment, but I gotta admit, Antecedents blew me out of the water. Might just be you're a much better writer now, but other than AR, that is my favorite first book out of any of your series. Well, you're supposed to get better as you go on, Mike. So I would chalk it up probably just to more experience. Um, because I'll admit, looking back at my older books, some of them were kind of rough. Um, but there's also a tonality difference in them. So last week I was cycling through a news feed and came across a mugshot of a guy who had been arrested for murder. My first thought was that Daniel had done gone wrong. The guy looked like Daniel without glasses. Definitely took a second look to realize it wasn't our favorite author. Rob, I'm not going to kill anyone, and if I do, they're not going to catch me for it. So, uh, you're lucky I have two. Mine just talk back to me all day. That's what huskies do, Wolf. That's what huskies do, which is why we have a mute husky, and I'm very, very happy. If Crime Scene Husky wanders in, they'll probably be fine with it. Honestly, he's not like he's got bright red blood on him. It's all dried off now. If he wanders in, people will be happy to probably to see him. But yeah, as soon as he stops dripping at some point, we'll take him off to the groomer again and get him groomed. We had just gotten him groomed the day before, guys. Tuesday, he went in and got groomed. He was clean. He was white. Well, white with his black patches. He was so soft and loving. Now he's a brown husky. Ah, dried blood. It's not red. It's brown. Now that I have my updates and I've finished eating, I'll take my leave. No problem, Jell. Thanks for stopping in. How was the Colorado vacation? I mean, it was good. That came around because my girlfriend was going up to see one of her oldest friends, and I was like, well, there are people up there I want to see too. So we took the road trip together. I saw Joe uh, Cooster, Lightfoot, Quantum Entanglements, really nice guy. Um, really enjoyed talking to Joe. I ran a one-off for him and his girlfriend so they could get a little taste of D&D in case they wanted to do so themselves. I was supposed to meet up with Will Arand, but he had other life stuff going on, so I wasn't able to do that. So instead, I met up with fans on the other 2 days I was there and had dinner with them. So all in all, decent trip. Uh, my face has a lot of blood vessels for both humans and animals, so they bleed a ton. It really did, Rocket. Really did. Yes, that's right. Again, all good things must come to an end. Um, However, that is not this coming book. It's not book 10. It'll be book 11. I have plans for it. I hope that everyone sticks around for the next two, and that you guys enjoy the story that I weave. So, well, the after action reports that I take, I should say, story that I weave. Like I have anything to do with what fucking Sean does. I'm totally gonna life bond all my staff. Yeah, dude, don't do that. You're not thinking. Don't. God damn it, Sean. Ooh, I had a dog with epileptics. epileptic seizures outlaw. Um, it was a big dog. It was a bull mastiff something. Um, water on the brain was the reason for it. We tried, but it's the youngest I've ever had to have a dog put down. When she started barking and lunging at me and the girlfriend at the time, that was I mean, she didn't know what was going on. She had seizures and water on her brain, but that's a big dog, and to have them suddenly go aggressive on you is not a good thing. So I hope yours isn't that. Hey Paul, welcome in, man. I published Binding Words 1 August 14th, 2018. So if I do the if I do 11 and 11 ends it at the end of this year, it will have been 5 years of Binding Words. So the majority of my writing career so far, because at that point I will have been an author for 8 years. Yeah, so that's 16, 5, 7 years, 7 years, something math. So yeah, I really like Binding Words. It has a lot going for it. I'm sure people didn't see half the things that happened in it because I didn't because I listened to my characters. Uh, I'm hearing rumors that Zahn has been adjusting percentages that go to authors for the books being sold on their websites. Has this been something that you've noticed? I have not, Greg. KDP is based off of a sliding scale depending on how many people are quote unquote signed in for Kindle Unlimited that month. So that always has at least a little wiggle room. But the percentage um, is agreed to when I publish because you can do I forget what the percentages are. It's 70% is the high end. It has to be at least 299, and you can sell it at 70% profit, which is what all my books are marked as 70%. So I don't see how they could adjust the percentages without it being known because anytime I publish a book, it lists all that out. So it would be obvious. Like I said, the only difference is Kindle Unlimited because that is a sliding scale depending on how many millions of people are signed in up for the program that month. So make me keep writing Binding Words until I get it right. There is no right. There is only Zool. My internet is being super wonky, but only 11 books for Binding Words. Yep, it'll at the moment, guys. We do know that I have trouble like pinpointing endings, but I am thinking it'll be 11 books. When I started writing book 10, guys, I was like, ooh, maybe it'll only be 10. Having been writing 10 for a little while now, I can honestly say, no, no, it's not ending it on 10. Alpha World brought me into your fan base, and Binding Words had me staying and looking for more. I appreciate that, Copton. Um, Alpha World will always be a fun thing for me. From the way it started to the fact that it was so different from every other lit RPG at the time with the psychological healing that the story is really all about. So, well, I mean, if you lost that much blood, McKnight, it's not really surprising. Hey, yep, love Dungeon Walkers 4. So does this mean we get your voice in the audio version? Nope, nope. My voice will not be there. Stephanie Savannah's doing that. I'm gonna head off because DJ has not moved in 5 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, CB. Is it being a problem tonight? It might be. Um, depending on how you're watching. If you're watching it on the app, I know the app kind of bugs out. I struggled with the first little bit, but once he got onto the ship, it picked up for me. I know a lot of people had problems like the first half of the book because Xander's kind of an unrepentant asshole, where he basically just thinks that everyone around him is children playing with weapons. Because from his point of view, that's what they look like. We have giant war machines, but we stand still to kill people or stand still to kill the bugs. Like, why do you want to die? You can't. No, that's stupid. Um, so I mean, Xander has a real Xander's attitude comes from a real place for him. But yeah, he is kind of an unrepentant asshole. He really does not treat the people around him very well at the start of that book. I like to think that by the end of book one, there's a little more understanding between everyone there. And book two should flesh that out a bit more. And for those people who are like, "This is dumb," they would never stand still to if using mecha. Um, I point out that we lined up in squares and marched at each other for the longest time, but more of that will start being gleaned and hinted at through book two for those people who are wondering why. You did an amazing job with the end of Dungeon Walkers. I hate to see it end, but you did such a good job making it satisfying. And that's what I want, Drea. I don't want people like, well, fuck this. This ending sucked. I wanna give it at least something. So, hey Frank. Yeah, you're late. You missed the whole Puppo story. But you can rewatch it later. It'll be up on Twitch and I'll post it over the YouTube like normal. Xerox, I have not sold 10,000 copies of anything. I'm fairly certain. I could go back and try to crunch like the lifetime numbers. I've never sold 100,000 copies of a goddamn thing. I can tell you that without a problem. Even if you include in all the book reads of any given series, if you counted those a book read as a quote unquote sold copy, no. Um, I'm not sure I've sold 100,000 copies in total. So yeah, it would be nice. I'd love to be able to do that, but honestly, I'd much rather write what I love than try to chase the idea. Uh, Gotta say that'll probably be a new. No, I'm sure they've seen dogs with blood on them before, but the amount of brown on him without like visible wounds will probably be like a what? Uh, yeah, hydrogen peroxide does help get blood out of things. It is also still hydrogen, so it will bleach things out some too. So I haven't been able to read Antecedents due to time limitations. Is there any update on the audiobook? Farstrider, it is with Podium. Um, when I talked to them last, they were saying something about May. I think that's when they plan to have it published. I think a pre-order will come before that, unless that's when they meant they're going to get a pre-order out. I really hope not. But it's in their hands, so I don't know. Yeah, McKnight, that's it's not fun. I've had a number of animals go before their time. With your last two books, I've noticed that near as I can remember, your per book price is the same as it was 3, 4 years ago. And considering the inflation of the last couple of years, a bargain. But I have to say, I would rather see you earn more to keep up with inflation, even if that means I. I mean, I understand Chopper, but I think 4.99 is a decent price. It's basically the cost of a burger or a cup of coffee most places nowadays. And I like to think you get more enjoyment out of the book. I mean, I could raise it up more, but I don't know. I like the price tag. If inflation goes really crazy and it's like okay, I kind of need to do this, then I would. But I also like that it's a nice, solid, easy price point where you can literally look at like any fast food place outside of like a dollar menu and be like, yeah, it's comparable. So I can have a burger today, or I can have a book that I can go back and reread as many times as I want. Mm, so I mean, I might eventually, but at the moment I'm not going to. Do you have any ideas of what book you will be writing after Binding Words? Well, Rain, I have a series I've been tinkering with. It is I guess it would be like Shadowrun-esque, kind of like cyberpunk fantasy mashup. Um, I'm not gonna say more than that. That's been the loudest of the newer ideas bouncing around in my head. Considering I wouldn't get to it until next year anyway, I'm not thinking about it too much. But the idea has been there. I've enjoyed some of the random thoughts of how things would work because instead of cybernetics, it would be a different way to upgrade people. Um, I like the idea behind it. We'll have to see where it goes when I write it. So, can I ask what you did before you were a full time writer? Well, Ryan, it is Ryan Stone Tiger. Before I stopped working, the job just before I stopped working, I was working in the county jail doing paperwork for the inmates, and transcribing court information over from when they saw the judge and so on and so forth, which is how I was able to have a conversation with my deputy about, hey, what if, which led us to Alpha World. Before that, I worked in food and beverage. If there was a position in food and beverage, I probably held it at one way in one form or another. I am 42 years old. I have worked since I was 16. The last, like I said, 7 years I've been an author. For the last, I think it was 5 years full time at this point. Yeah, it sounds about right. So I mean, I worked a good like 20 years before becoming an author, before becoming a full time author. So if you wonder why the food descriptions of my books sometimes get a little um, uh, interesting, it's because I've been around food for most of my working career. Well, Rocket, just make sure to mind the speed limit and the idiots on the road, sir. So, yep, you got to keep an eye on the liver kidney functions when you're dealing with epilepsy. If Mina asks if you're a god, you say yes. Hey, Steeman, glad you could make it. Was Antecedent successful enough to get a sequel? Yes, it was, Rob. I mean, it wasn't Aether's level of successful, but very, very, very few things are. I will easily do a book two and a book three. Um, book two will give me a good idea of sustainability of the series. If how big the drop off is from book one to book two, because there's always a slight decline as the series goes on. Dungeon Walkers was a very much a case study in that. It was like here, here, here. So um, so book two will give me a better idea of longevity. I just answered that one. Any new shirts coming out soon? New series shirts. The Baron. Um, I am working with my sister because she's the one who does all the shop stuff of trying to get things set up for Redbubble, so you guys would be able to take specific pieces of art and put them on a shirt or put them on a coffee mug or any of that kind of stuff that Redbubble does. Um, so soon. So for all those people who wanted like a binding word shirt that you couldn't get because I ran out of them, of the ones I had printed up, hopefully in the nearish future, you will be able to go to the shop via Redbubble and purchase that. I know my sister has already connected the shop on the website, so if you go to shinofinbooks.com and you go to the shop, is currently connected to Redbubble, but they don't have everything we wanted because apparently we didn't have the right size art for them to use for the shirts. Um, my sister's working on that. I gave her the new files just the other day, so she is going to be working on getting those set up for you guys, so you would be able to order shirts or hoodies or anything else. Um, was the pre-order successful for Antecedents? Yes and no, Steam. Um, Honestly, I'm not sure I'll do a pre-order again. I didn't notice it helping at all for me, honestly. And considering how badly Amazon fucked up with the book, with the fact that it sent you guys to review it before the last chapter, and it took them 2 months to get that fixed. Um, I'm sure that wasn't the pre-order's fault, but oh God, I got so many comments about why would you add the book there, and it's like, what are you talking about? Well, it ended on this chapter. Now there's a chapter after that. Click the off button for the leave a review, and you'll see there's another chapter there. So yeah, yeah. About to lose internet reception. I'll probably not be back on. Hope everyone has a good night. Well, Outlaw, if you watch this later, hope you had a good night. Uh, did AL sell well enough for a decent length series? Everyone wants to know about the AL. I kind of answered that. After once book two comes out and I see how big of a drop off series sales has been, it will give me a better idea. Struggles. Um, but I mean, I've already written book two. It's waiting for its time and edits. Um, so there will be at least 3 books in the series. Um, but depending on how book two does and book three does will depend on how long the series goes. Because I have multiple different options on how to take the series if I do have to step out of it. Because I don't want to leave the series just hanging there and have no resolution on it. It's bad enough I did it with Resurrection Quest, but oof, that was a loss in and of itself. So it's going to be hard to think of Binding Words going to be done. It was my first series with you, and I couldn't put them down. They were also my first slice of life I got sucked into and enjoyed. I appreciate that, McKnight. I always wanted slightly slower pace. I didn't want to see the hero go from fire to fire to calamity to calamity. It's like, good God, let the man breathe. That's why I write the way I do. I like the slow moments of just conversation between people where the main character actually gets to maybe romance the loves of his life, or he spends the day helping the poor orphans, meditate and, maybe find a better place in the world. Um, so meh. Did I say 10,000 copies? I thought I said 100,000 copies. I mean, overall, yeah, I've probably sold 10,000 copies. I'd actually have to go and look, guys, but I'm fairly certain I have not sold 100,000. I just look at Mecha Godzilla to see how Mecha stands still when fighting. Mega G only moved to reposition so he could shoot again. I mean, old school movies. Uh, DJ, I think you nailed Xander's attitude. I met and worked with many soldiers and the spec ops types. All have a very similar temperament. Yeah, I mean, I do try to make the point that he's uh, paramilitary, not military, because I didn't want to insult military individuals with how I represented something. So I very much made sure that I took him as military adjacent, because I have nothing but respect for my friends and family who've served. So I wasn't going to like give a slanted view of, oh, he's in the military. He's totally this kind of guy. Where having talked to some people who've dealt a lot with PMCs, they were like, yeah, no, this works because I was like, here's a snippet. What do you think? Yeah, this works. I've dealt with this asshole before. Okay, great. So I have a pseudo dungeon world question, not plot related, so please no banhammer. When you have a soft end at a series, do you try to get things in there and move faster than you normally would, or just have a natural off point? It felt like some of the later runs went faster. No, the later runs went faster just because they had the gear for it. I didn't realize I was gonna soft end Dungeon Walkers on book 4 until after book 3 had come out. Um, and book 3 is when they got the gear. So the slightly faster pace of dungeons in book 4 was solely because they were using basically top end gear in lower mid tier dungeons. That's all that came down to. Sometimes the plot does move a little faster. Um, if if I had stayed with Apocalypse Gates for another book or two, the whole Jarvis arc would have been a little slower. Um, but it was what it is. Sometimes things move a little faster, depending on things. But for the dungeons and dungeon walkers, it was just because they had the gear. Not spoiler, knowing the dungeon walkers had to be a soft ending. The way it finished, it could be picked up in several different ways depending on the characters. Yeah, and that's it's the same with Apocalypse Gates. I want to leave it open, so if later I don't have to worry about bills as much, I have the option of going back and picking up something that I still enjoyed writing, but just couldn't afford at the time. No problem, JPEZ. Thank you for coming in, man. Make sure to check back later, because after all this ends, guys, when I finally sign off for the night, I won't be doing it tonight, but um I will be picking winners and then contacting them via Twitch Messenger up here. So, have you too. Puppy's okay? He's not bleeding anymore? Okay, good. Uh, uh, yeah, Paul. Like I said, I've had a number of fuzzy furry loved ones that have gone on before me. It's never easy. Whenever anybody else like, yeah, we had to do this, I'm like, I know that heart rend. Um, so I'm glad that you haven't charged more due to inflation. I mean, it is what it is, Mom. I mean, the 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 books still sell in the same amount. Um, the more you raise the price, the less the number is. And most of my income comes from Kindle Unlimited as it is. So Kindle Unlimited doesn't care about what I charge for the book. It's just how many pages are read. Yeah. How are you all doing with the screwy weather? It has been that what do they call it? Atmospheric river or whatever they call the huge deluge of storm that has hit California and it's slowly been moving its way across the country. It's been a very wet winter. It's been a few years since we've had a winter this wet. Um, it means it's going to be very green here in another month, and all of the bugs will be out and about. No, I have not been a bottler, Zep. I meant food and beverage as in restauranting, not 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 the other ends of things. Are we going to get a book dirtier than your current books? No, Xerox. I've found a comfortable spot. Once with each wife, um, with possibly maybe another character moment that shows up. Um, in Binding Words, that was Andy having her chance to have a kid with Sean, because there was such a character moment in there where she was thrilled and yet heartbroken at the same time because Chastity was no longer with them. Um, that was a scene that was worth adding. Otherwise, once with a wife is enough. It sets their tone that it works. Saying that though, I know that there are two scenes with one woman in Antecedent's Legacy 2. But that's because one kind of sets the scene, but the second one seals it. It really, really dives into the personality of the individual. But I tried to leave it at one per for a reason. Am I 15 minutes behind? Let's see. That was 37. I'm only 10 minutes behind. It's not bad today. I'm actually catching up with you guys. Haha. I agree with full, especially being someone that isn't the best. Well, office prices allow me to read my favorite books no matter what. I mean, like I said, I think it's very comparable to what you can get in life. And that there's a reason I'm still in Kindle Unlimited, besides it being like 70% of my income, is because I know a lot of people have fixed income, and $10 a month to read as many books as you want is way is affordable for a lot more people, even if it does mean having to be very, very concerned about their shifting rule set that is KU. How do the various book ones match up? I don't know, Paul. I'd have to really break out like the numbers and go through it. Um, I would have said Alpha World was my best selling book until Aether's Revival. Aether's Revival, I could say right now, book one, my best selling book one ever. Not my best selling book. That would be I think Aether's 3. But yeah, it was it. I can say Aethers is my best selling series at this point. Even though it's only through 6 books? 6 books. I think it's made as much as like all of Alpha World. Month first month compared through the 8 books. I just noticed this, DJ. How many do you make swoon when you turn those blue goals on them? Oh, you mean my eyes? I don't know. I mean, I don't go out of my way to make women swoon. I have my 2 girlfriends. That's enough. Well, enough for now. Any more would have to be vetted by said girlfriends. I always wanted to ask where you got the interesting food ideas for your books. The details I find. Um, yeah. Food has just been part of the life. My girlfriends keep saying that one of these days they're gonna compile the cookbook that you all keep asking me for, because I don't have the time for it. Um, if they do, there's got to be a whole lot of food made in this house for testing purposes. So I know you said binding words, maybe winding down soon. Any other genres you want to add to the rotation? It's never about genres for me, Angry. It's just interesting stories that I want to tell. I don't go out of my way to try to like shoehorn in a genre. That's disingenuous for me. I write something that I find interesting to tell you guys about. Like I said, at the moment, I have ideas, and one of them is slightly louder than the rest. But I don't. It's not like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write a historical romance piece this time. I don't. I just don't do it. If you're paying $4.99 for a burger, that's a hell of a price. I mean, yeah, fair enough, Chopper. Do you think the store will sell ball caps too? I think it does. Redbubble basically takes the art and sticks it on their wide catalog of things. If the art is sized right, you can basically go to that person's art and be like, "This is the piece of art I want," and then they'll list everything you can put it on for you to choose from. And I believe caps are on there. You're like one of the three, Apollo. You're one of the three, and I appreciate that. Nothing but love, man. The fact that Resurrection Quest was loved by at least some people, I feel that. Is there any update on putting out an art book? Yeah, I'm not doing it Xerox. I was really confused when it popped up the review page at like 96%. Yeah, for a reason. And it took them 2 months to figure that out with like it being escalated 6 times. But hey, I got my email from them last week saying, "Hey, we finally fixed it." I'm like, "Oh, good. 2 months after the book's been out. Totally sure that didn't cause any problems at all, guys. Thanks a lot. Considering I told you about it on day fucking one." Uh, I was hoping for 13 books and Binding Words, but that's just me. I mean, I never want to be the author who's like, well, the series is still selling. I guess I could shoehorn in another book because that once again that's disingenuous to me. That's not who I want to be as a writer. So the story has a beginning and it has an ending and it has a middle, and sometimes that middle goes on for like 3 books longer than I think it will. But there's always an ending that I have in mind when I start a series, and as long as my characters don't fuck it up, we'll get there. A reminder for fans who want to maximize DJ's money from books: read a book entirely on KU, return it when it's finished. Purchase the book then the following calendar month. That is correct. Rob is correct. If you use Kindle Unlimited and also buy books, that is how you can double dip for your author so they can get the maximum amount of revenue out of it. It's also not nice not seeing the main character constantly beat down, like ser- some series I love, but I had to stop reading them. Um, I was kind of that way with the Dresden series. God, I felt bad for Harry. He was the biggest punching bag. Like every book, and in the last 10% of the book, he'd eke out a win. But you're still just like, dude, come on, let him have a moment, a glimpse of something nice. I don't mind main characters who get beat down some. Um, Even though most of my main characters at the moment don't really lose a whole lot. Um, but I don't want them to be a punching bag. How long has Lux Voice 6 ended up being? It's still in editing right now, so I can't give you like final numbers. But let's see, 1 second. I will go ahead and answer my rough draft. Uh, Come here. My rough draft ended up being word count. Ended up being 121,000 words. Now that will decline a little bit. Considering the average edits, it'll be somewhere between 115 to 120. So about one of my average non-Aether books. Aethers always seem to run a little longer. You do a very good job of balancing slice of life with more adventure style. I never feel bored from the same fight or action scene that's drawn out too far. And again, it's something that I personally dislike myself. I understand some fight scenes are gonna drag out, especially if it's like the epic fight scene. But at the same time, I don't need the fight scene for every bunch of mooks that the main character is going to fight. As soon as we get an idea of how he fights, we can pretty much say he dealt with them the way he had been and move on. Unless there's just something new that pops up, the kryptonite shows up, and all of a sudden now he's on the back foot. Um, Fight scenes like sex scenes can be very repetitive because there's only so many words to describe the same action. Um, and I don't mind action, but I also want my moments of just life. Uh, Problem with KU is that rereads don't get counted. So KU counts or how many different people read something, not how many times something's been read. Completely correct, Darth. It only counts the very first time you read through it. Um, so I mean, if you're picking up the books again to reread through them on Kindle Unlimited, when like the next book comes out, I'm not going to get anything out of that second read. But I understand if people are on a budget. It's totally understandable. I've been to the place where mortgage is a couple months behind, and you're eating ramen as meals if you're lucky. So I don't begrudge people who do that. I understand. I've been there. So you spent the majority of your working life around food. How many times did you cook with a katana? I have not because I wasn't on Cutthroat Kitchen. I mean, honestly, um, I found that show just ridiculous in so many ways, and I really wish that Brown had stayed with it. I understand he wanted to go off and do other things again, but it was so ridiculous the things that would come up. And he always made sure that they were achievable if you knew everything. If you knew how this worked or that worked, or you could, find a way to mix and match things. I actually liked that, which is why when I was like, okay, I want kind of an over the top cook in this area, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take the acerbicness of this chef and the zaniness of, and you only get this to cook with, and mash them together. But the system also does not care if someone who owns a book rereads them either. Okay, you purchased. Yeah, but there is a difference between Kindle Unlimited and purchasing a book APOC. I get 70% of 4.99. Hang on, so 4.99. So I get basically $3.50 out of a book buy. Where is it if you're reading it? Uh, let's say it's a 120,000 word book. Uh, oh, I fucked up my math in there somewhere. It's like short of $3. It's like $2 something. I don't remember. Um, it's not. It's not the best thing. Let me see if I remember right. It was pages, pages, something like that. I have to go back and look at it again, but it's slightly less than a read, or slightly KU is slightly less than a purchase, which once again totally fine. The leaving reviews within the first like week of a book coming out, especially that's huge because the more reviews it has in the shorter amount of time, the more it moves up the algorithm and gets shoved in front of other people's faces. And the sooner that Amazon will do that, oh by the way, so you're the author you follow who just published a new book, published one, because sometimes those emails take like 2 months to get out. If the book is really jumping up the rankings, they have a tendency to push those out faster. Well, I didn't like what happened in the second half of Dungeon Walkers. I couldn't see it going any other way with those people. I actually went into the book expecting it to happen. Well, I mean, some people are just some people, Yak. I have known too many complete and utter assholes to have seen that to not have seen that going that way. I have had people scream in my face about things before, and I've also had people with chef knives threatening to stab me. So some people cannot be reasoned with, and they will only ever have one line. When or if you do pick up a soft-ended series, which would you choose to pick up first, since money would not be a concern? It depends on what I'm feeling at the time, Paul. Um, I might use a fourth slot just to rotate in retired series. I won't do more than 4 series in a rotation, but I might use one of those slots to like be like AG this year, Dungeon Walkers this year, and just slowly roll out those. And the book selling at $4.99 US, go for $6.75 in Canada, America's hat. Um, yes, and I get paid. I get paid in the equivalent of Canadian dollars, which is then converted back to US dollars. So I still make the same amount because of conversion. Somehow I missed that AL came out, and we'll be getting to that next on my read list. I look forward to the interactions you guys are talking about. I can see where mechs would need to stop and brace if the recoil is high enough, but I'll have to get into that, see how it plays out. If you're interested, uh, sell Facebook, Discord, Twitter, the mailing list, which you can find via shinhofenbooks.com. I post on each of the platforms when I publish a new book. And when the audiobook comes out, I normally do the same thing. So if you want to keep up with everything I do, which is basically a book every 2 months, that is the easiest way. Depending on how many you want, just pick any of the series that are finished. Most are soft-ish ended. Um, let's see. I think most of them are. Alpha World was done, and then Dungeon Walkers, which is Delta World, followed. Now that's soft-ended, so 1 and 1. Last Horizons is soft-ended. Uh, Apocalypse Gates is soft-ended. Resurrection Quest was a complete dud. Wow. Yeah, there's a discrepancy. I hadn't thought about that. Did you rearrange the house? The cat tree was not behind you previously. It's been a while, Shoto. The girlfriend's desk had been back there, but it's been moved for like almost a year now. So yeah, it's been a bit, but yeah, things got moved around at one point. Do you have any inkling of how Greg is going to handle adding Link, Clover, and Rashana to the family, being that it's likely to happen in AR8? I mean, it's kind of talked about and stuff as they've gone along, Yak. I mean, if you're talking about like the consummation, then hints about how each of them would like things to progress is talked about in 6. But if you're talking about just how they're going to get married and stuff, it's been fairly well hashed out if Yuki would stop moving the goal lines. Just just one more thing. Can we get Gregory's current age? Yes, he is. Let's see, 3 years in, he is 3 to 4 years past his age day. That's his age. I will not purchase a book by an author I'm unfamiliar with. I mean, that's fair, Rob. And honestly, I was the same way for the longest time. I just don't get to read a lot anymore, so I Kindle Unlimited everything unless, like you said, it's an author I absolutely know. Unless it's one of like 4 or 5 people who have been very solid on giving me good books to try out. In which case I will buy those. Every once in a while, somebody is not on Kindle Unlimited there just to buy, and somebody will be like, "Yeah, I know it's not on Kindle Unlimited, but you totally should read this," and I'll take the jump if it's somebody I trust. What is your next tattoo? And are all the tattoos the art from the coins? No. Lux Voice is going to be just Lux Voice. It's going to be on my bicep, and then I'll probably end up getting the badger from the Antecedents Legacy coin on my other forearm or on my other bicep, and then that will catch me up on all current series. Of course, come next year, Binding Words will be done, and I'll start up a new series, and I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do for art for that, and then where I'm going to put it, because my forearms are already filled, and then I'm going to do my biceps next. So, and I have a tattoo on each calf already. So yeah. Are you and the ladies thinking of going to see the D&D movie? The Sammy wants to. Um, I've been debating going to see it, or just like streaming it when it comes out on streaming. Because there's no movie theater where I live. It's an hour and a half into Vegas to get to a movie theater. It takes a lot to get me into a theater. I will definitely go see the next Deadpool in a theater. I will laugh if Sean forces you to go beyond 11 books. I mean, fair enough. I would Lost. I would totally laugh if I end up writing 12 books. It just happens sometimes. I haven't got a stream in a while. Correct. So yes, since the last stream that you appeared at, we did have a change of scenery. To be honest, I thought it would be 12 books in Binding Words after book 9, so I could easily see it ending at 11 and be happy as is. I know a lot of authors would try to stretch it for 12 books though, just to be like, and this is the end. It's a nice solid dozen, but I'm not that person. What is the next news story you have on standby? Like I said, the only thing I'm going to say right now is it's kind of Shadowrun-esque. It's kind of fantasy cyber, where it's not electronics that are used to upgrade people. So, but that's all I'm saying about it right now. I know Sean hasn't lost for a bit. Kind of hard to lose when you get to a certain threshold level. You need to meet someone who is comparable to you. Um, he had a chance briefly in book 9 when he fought Titan's Wrath. There was a chance if things had gone differently and he had just gone straight in just to duel Titan's Wrath and other things hadn't happened ahead of time, he would not have been prepared for what Titan's Wrath could do. Um, that could have gone very differently. He does get pushed a little bit in book 10. I'll say that. Um, any more than that is too much of a spoiler though. But you need to have comparable levels to end up having the chance to lose. Seamus Masterson is Alpha World, and the last book hit me in the feels, and that it was for me. It was book 5. Book 5 was the hardest one of Alpha World. There's a reason why after book 4 I wrote the first book of Apocalypse Gates, because I needed that cleanser because it was getting dark in a hurry. How many books is Aether's revival planned for? As many as it takes for me to tell the story. I am terrible at figuring out how many books a series is going to be because my characters do things. I don't like their hardcover printing. Their hardcover printing looks like the D&D books. It's not hard. It's not right what I consider bookstore hardcover. It's large flat press hardcover. Um, I don't like the way they look. That's the reason I haven't done hardcover there. Um, I'd also have to get them reformatted because the size has changed for that outside of the soft cover. Uh, can can a fight, Sean, ever take too long or be boring? Can a Sean fight ever take too long or be boring? Yeah, I mean totally could, depending on what's going on. I always wonder if AR will have a clan war. I want to see how many clans fall because they don't have members anymore. I mean, that would be fairly brutal and open the Empire up for a whole lot of shenanigans from their neighbors. Uh, we all know that Aether's Guard, the Eternal Flame, is going to clash with Aether's Guard at some point. I mean, considering the animosity between the clans, it's entirely likely. One of my favorite things about your books is that they never get old, and I can re-listen to a series every 3 months, and I appreciate that, Yak. Um, I don't know if I could. I reread the last book of any given series before I write the next book of that same series. Um, so I mean, I have listened to my stuff a lot, but I don't have the time to go back and like re-listen to like all of Aethers before I start like book 7 because I don't have that kind of time. That has a lot of words. Do you feel the difference in pricing between the few countries that give you the right for strict pricing compared to like America and most others? It's all percentage through KDP. I get 70% flip across the board. I can set the price. It's 4.99 US. I get 70%. The amount that it sells for in other countries is based off of that American price point, then changed due to currency of said country. So, uh, to be honest, I buy the ebook and then the audiobook. I mean, so do I, Chopper, but I'm a little biased. I prefer to read when I have time and listen when exercising or driving, and that's exactly what I do, Chopper. I normally get my audiobooks in while I'm getting my walks in the morning and when I'm driving from place to place. Otherwise, I try to get an hour to read at night. KU pays per word page and will pay less. They pay per word. Um, that's why it tracks where you are in any given page. Because when you get to that page, I think it just counts as that page is read. Um, but if I remember right, I thought it was per word. Maybe it is per page. I don't remember now. I honestly don't keep track like most other authors. I'm really shit at like self promotion and everything else. I just want to make pretty words on paper. I liked Camp Cutthroat over Cutthroat Kitchen. The kitchen version seemed boring after watching. Well, I mean, the camp version was fun, but I still never thought that the kitchen was boring. Maybe it's because I've worked in a kitchen and I know all the stupid shit that they have to try to figure out to do. It just didn't have the extra oomph that some of the camps did. Are we ever going to see what the deal is with Nick's mother in AR? I can't say, Lost. Perhaps one day it'll come out. Maybe it'll be one of those eternal mysteries. Are you ever going to learn what APOC is short for? Personally, I'm leaning towards Apocrypha. Roughly, it's the death of all is what APOC is short for. Apocalypse, Apocrypha, so on and so forth. It's the death of worlds. Just out of curiosity, on average, how many hours do you write a day? It's not a timed thing. I set myself minimum one chapter a day. My chapters on average are around 2,000 words. I think it's like 1,700 to 2,400. So I always say 2,000. Um, Minimum one chapter a day. If I do one chapter a day, that means somewhere about every month and a half to 2 months, I'm finished with the book, which is what I want for a publishing schedule. I want the very least every 2 months. That is 6 books a year, which means every 2 years you've gotten 3 books out of every series I publish, which I think is quite fast and fair. I normally, like I said, I publish every 6 to 8 weeks on average, so on average, it's actually like every 7 weeks, which means I almost get. I get I get 7 books published a year. So, I mean, it's nice. I like it. It doesn't feel like I'm killing myself, but I'm not one of the people who does like I'm writing between 9 to 5 today. I know those authors who do, and they do really good at it. That's just not me. I also post on Twitter. That is correct, Xerox. And for anyone who wants an easy link, there is a panel in the about sections below of the stream. That's right. There's a thing down there that says here are links. Haha. Uh, so grade is 80 plus 4. I'm confused, Shout. Depending on how you have your screen set up, you likely approved a specific. I'm confused. Okay, I'm somewhere else. Let's jump down. In the file section of Facebook group are the links in the text file I keep. I need to get the last couple. Oh yeah, for what you're doing. In there, but my account was suspended for stuff. Every time I tried to do something in the group, yeah, they flagged you for freaking posting the live chats and stuff, which was just Facebook being Facebook. Like, really, guys? It might be because of how large the group is. That's all I can think of is they think that people are just spamming. That's the only thing I can think of. But I mean, it's just it. Honestly, it's Facebook being Facebook. If the mods aren't slapping you down, then leave them the fuck alone. In Lux universe, the darkness seems to be an amorphous entity. Will it become a pantheon of dark gods? I mean, not that we know of at the moment, Matt. But I mean, it was seeming to push pretty hard to get Luck to abandon ship, to get Doc to abandon Luck and join the other side. So who knows? Who knows what we might see? No, I won't. Luck's voice has a few definitive endings I could get to. Um, some of them would probably be quite shocking to people. Some of the things that could happen. Um, but no, I won't die of old age before Luck's voice ends. Aethers, that one would be way more likely. Aethers has more legs to it. Does that mean you'll have tattoos on the chest, topless live chats in the future? No, I know what I look like without a shirt, Paul. The only time you will catch me without a shirt is when I am at home and not going out anymore, um, and at a pool, and that's about it. Because nobody wants to see hairy chested, uh, not skinny ogre. Let's say that. And I will not have an arrow on my head a la Avatar. That's what I do on Kindle Unlimited first. I like it. Well, I'll buy it, the audio when it comes out, like all the AR about the online books as well as the book on audio. And I appreciate that. Thank you very much. At least the Garfields aren't aimed at your chair. I actually think they were at one point, but you know what can you do with a meth cat? Oh, there you go. Some links are going up. Yay! If you can keep track and remember, carry you the book, return it. Okay, yeah. So got that. Okay, I think I'm catching up to you guys. I am, oh, nope, still 10 minutes back. I am not making up any ground, but I'm not losing it. You can count the greater VP as a loose too because he is still alive. I'm confused there somewhere. No problem, I just need to figure out what was. Okay, so Alpha World 5 hits the hardest, but even 1 through 4 have points that hit you with Onion. 4 does. I mean, 4 gets into fluff story pretty good, Yak Man. That's where I was like, okay, I need to step away for a minute because I mean it lightly touches on Al, but it really hits fluff. And then book 5 really hits Al. Um, and I it was I think it was in book 2 or 3 where I got a lot of negative reviews for how it wasn't game-like enough anymore. And I'm like, well, that's not the point of the story, but okay, sure, sure. Uh, how many more tattoos did I have left to get? Well, I mean, you still have, I believe, a tramp stamp and a couple, one or two others there, Darkwind. I don't know if the bidding ever finished on various parts of your body. Dad says hi. Hi, Dad. I'm 10 minutes behind, so. What adventure did you run for Cooster and Co? It was homebrew. Um, half of it was made up on the spot, depending on their characters. I knew the basic framework of what I wanted, which was just a very simple goblin adventure to let three uh, characters with like almost no healing understand how like the dice roll and how combat happens and how skill checks relate. And I went into it originally with okay, I'll make them as part of a caravan so I can like mix and match things in and they can see how things happen. And when it came down to it, one of them made a half orc barbarian, which is the perfect race for a barbarian because of some of the racial bonuses a half orc gets. But they made them a hermit. And I was like, well, okay, well, we're going to put you at a hermitage instead. You've been sequestered trying to understand more of how to deal with your anger. And at that point, it was like, okay, since that's the character you made, we're gonna run with that. The hermitage was attacked and a relic was stolen, and you're gonna go out and find it. And these two show up to help you, and it'll be totally fine. Don't worry. And at the end of it, everyone had fun. So it was a success. As with all D&D, everyone had fun at the end, therefore success. I will never run one on stream, Xerox. I have to say that Last Horizons books really hit me in the feels and was my intro into the game world type world and got me reading your later books after. And I really appreciate that, Sel. Last Horizons is a love letter to my old WoW gaming friends. Honestly, it's an ode to, hey, in 40 years when we're all in our late 70s and 80s, and if full immersive games came out, why wouldn't we want to go get one adventure, and if in the game we felt like we were 20 again, um, what would that be like? Um, and that's what started me on it because nobody at the time, because that was like the early days of lit RPG. It was a lot of solo male protagonist stories, and I was like, well, let's do something other than young male protagonist because I remember I still kind of miss. I do miss. I don't kind of. I do miss still gaming with my old WoW buddies. Um, everyone, life intervened. People got married, had kids, and whatnot. And nowadays, it would be really hard trying to, work 4 hours a couple nights a week into like raiding anymore. But I'll always remember the fondness of it. I'll always remember it and look back and love what happened. I tend to turn on an audiobook when I'm playing games. I actually can't do that when I'm playing games, Jack. I cannot listen to Andy record and write at the same time. I can't listen to an audiobook and record at the same time. If there's a story going on, I cannot listen to it and write. I can put music on in the background and write because I just block out everything basically but the sound, the music, the beat. Some songs I'll actually sing along to while I write because it's back of the brain for me. No problem, Firestarter. Thanks for coming in. Make sure to check back later. In recent days, I've been listening to Bruce Centaur. Have you read any of his books? And if so, how do you feel about them? I want to say I've read a couple of Bruce's books. I'm really bad with names, though. There's a reason I have spreadsheets, honestly. Um, I want to say Bruce does a good job. I mean, he's way better than I'd say half of the harem community writers out there. Um, but with every book, there's some things I disagree with, or why did you do that? But every reader has those moments. As a writer, it's just a little more pointed for me because I'm like, okay, I really enjoyed what you did until you got to this point, and then I normally have to power through that to get the flow of the story back for me as a writer. Um, but I've read Bruce's stuff. I've talked to Bruce a couple of times before. Um, I've never had any major like, oh dude, I can't read your stuff anymore. So which I have done for like about half of the genre at this point, just because I'm like, okay, no, can't, too far off of what I enjoy for myself. If I make him do a one shot as a Kickstarter or Patreon event, how much would that be worth? There's not enough money, Darkwind. I actually that's a lie. I very much doubt you'll come up with the amount of money that would be required, Darkwind. Love your books and appreciate how hard you work to get your books out. I appreciate that, Phantom. Thank you very much. Time to go for the night. Well, thank you for stopping in, Tim. I appreciate you being here for how long you were. Words are hard, folks. I'm very very sorry that I cannot talk. However, it is getting towards my bedtime because I live in the desert. I have a tendency to get up early. I'm going to keep going for a while, but my words might become even more fragmented than they already are. Uh, uh, we set up reminders on Discord. I don't remember if I do them on Facebook, but they're definitely on Discord. Fireball hitting and alarm in 6 hours. Going to have to go to bed. No problem. Yeah, thanks for stopping in, man. All right, welcome in. The fact that we've had like 50 people here, pretty roughly, pretty consistently. I mean, the high 40s, low 50s range is different. Then again, it is late at night, so not entirely unexpected either. Go to bed 3 weeks. Started doing 5 miles 3 times a week. Today was one of those days. Understand, Chopper. You have a good night, man. You seem to refrain from character or wife deaths. Binding words excluded. Is that on purpose? Um, no. I mean, I'm not going to kill the main character outside of like the first chapter to get him into a world, probably. Um, other people have died. I mean, binding words is probably the most common. Aethers has been very controlled up to this point. Things aren't going to be in as much of a controlled capacity going forward. You might very much regret asking me that question in the next year or two. Um, Antecedents, I already have plans there as well. Um, I don't go out of my way for it. There are many points in like almost every story coming up where that is very possible. I don't just put them in. I don't just put deaths in though to be like here a death, and I don't want a red wedding everything either. So hey Ogre, used to watch your streams on Facebook. Love AR. Really liked Antecedents. Can't wait to see more. Well, welcome over Mario. Um, hopefully you enjoy the chats here on Twitch just as much. Twitch has been more stable for us overall. So this is why we've stuck here. Big Trucker says thank you for the coin. Well, if you got the coin, it's because you won it, but you are welcome because we do give away loots. No problem, again. Thank you for coming in, man. Uh, Joe has said that he and his enjoyed themselves. Yeah, I was talking. I talked to Joe on and off, especially since then. I hope it's a hobby that they enjoy and want to keep running with because I like seeing people enjoy that kind of thing. My RPG group hates me. You gave them an Apocalypse Gates type setting. I mean, as long as you warned them about it ahead of time, Wolf. Uh, with Cooster and Co-Adventure, who was the Hermit? Well, that would be up to them to talk about. I don't have uh, carte blanche to talk about what happened because like I don't know if I'm allowed to name people because I like they're they don't jump on his Discord an awful lot that I've noticed. So I don't want to say whether or not Joe ever wants to bring it up. That is completely up to him. Are you ever going to visit Hayes and Andy and join an on-stream game eventually? I did visit them. It was 2 years ago now, I think. Um, will I ever visit them again? Yeah, probably. It definitely will not be in the winter, though. That's for certain. They have snow. Have you seen the Mutants and Masterminds player handbook? Not that I remember it. The name of it sounds familiar, but I want to say no at the moment. It's been years since I got to play a tabletop RPG with friends. Adulting ruins lives and gaming sessions. It is hard to get a gaming group to continue to meet very regularly. I game a group for my girlfriends and a couple of real life friends, one of them being Sean. And we get together Saturdays. And I want to say we try for every Saturday, but we probably get 2 out of 4 on average, just because of life. So, uh, oh, a big fan. Oh, you guys are talking about Bruce's books. Okay. Uh, it sure can, hence why most of the groups I host play on our digital at this point. Yeah, that would make it a little easier, but even then it's not 100% easy. I want to say still have dungeon diving in my to be read pile, Rhinestone, so I'll probably get there and enjoy it. Uh Agreed on vacations. I've been listening to a book while wandering the Fallout. Oh well, yeah, you were at a con if I remember right, Mr. Fallout Boy. I can relate to your D&D memories. I was fortunate enough to have some friends in college group. We had a great DM and played homebrew campaign. I've been playing D&D since I was 13, Rob. So like 30 years of D&D at this point. There are a lot of memories that build up very quickly. A lot of friends that have gone their separate ways in those in that amount of time as well. No problem, Rain. Thanks for stopping in, man. I'm catching up to you guys. Ooh, yeah, I'm only 3 minutes behind y'all. Woot woot. Don't do like the one guy and end with every series with like half the cast dying. Um, I mean, unless the book is being set up for that throughout the series, it seems egregious. Um, if you know that you know a character here or there has died going through the series, and you know the big bad is coming, and it's going to be this massive thing, and people are going to die, I can understand that. But if it's not that bad and you get to the last book and then just like half the cast dies, even if it's, quasi reasonable, I'd still be like, there was no there was no foreshadowing to this. I have several shirts I've gotten from you, so I'm looking forward to the merch changes. Um, so am I honestly, because it means I won't have to try to I won't be in charge of paying for and then storing and then shipping all of them because that's all Redbubble. You guys pay them, they print it, they send it out, and then I get percentage of of that, which I am totally fine with. It means I will have all those other shirts that I will have to do something with in time, and I'm sure I will. Yeah, I've had those campaigns, Jack. Those are there's always good memories in those long years long sessions. A lot of D&D sessions though, it's around round level 8 where I've had a lot of groups fall apart. Round level 8. The number of times you get into like the high double digits, you get past 13. Those are rare for me that I've found. Uh, Game of Thrones is so depressing and distasteful for me, and yeah, after pretty much all the Starks die. I mean, it's that's honestly, I have not read Game of Thrones. I have not watched Game of Thrones, but everyone I know who has was like, and I just started to like this character, and then the very next book they die, and it happened book after book, and I'm like, wow, damn, that's just brutal. But if the world is set up that way, you kind of expect it. But at least somebody should make it through, right? Hodor. In the upcoming Binding Wars 10 or 11, will we get to see the children being born? We'll have to wait and see, Copton. Any chance of official canvas art? I would like a gothy, mousy piece for the living room and a risque gothy's harem for the bedroom. I do have some of that art from an individual who gave them to me as fan art. I'm not sure what Redbubble's rules are in relationship to um, NSFW stuff being sold, so that would be something that would have to get looked into, but not something I myself am going to be looking into. So yeah. Uh. Okay. Okay. Uh-oh. 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 I caught up to y'all. I caught up to y'all. And Lux's voice stock was getting pretty much has pretty much taken over Deep Gulch and is well on his way to controlling Ferdin. Is this going to be his MO everywhere? I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see, Rob. I know, but some of that I can't talk about. Sometimes you need to kill off favorite character. Yeah, but it shouldn't be every favorite character, Wolf, book after book after book. Half of them die of old age in the epilogue. I mean, you should see that coming then. I honestly don't know, Xerox. My sister does all the store stuff. I could pull. I mean, I've already paid for all of them. I have ideas on what to do. I am waiting to hear back on a couple of things, and then that will tell me more. Yeah, I saw him. I saw Rob. Like I said, I kind of troll Joe's stuff because I'm waiting for his next book. The man is busy saving the world one day at a time though. So I don't know why it's around level 8. Zip. It's just that seems to be about the break point. Um, Honor before level 8 is where most groups have broken up, in my opinion, in my experience. Um, which is really sad because that's where some of the real power starts really jumping up for spellcasters. We made it through level 20, though we lost a few characters doing that along the way. It happens. The half orc warlock got kicked out of the party for being too evil. You guys were surprised. Level 8 and 9 is when players start to get cocky. Yeah, I've had a number of groups die because they didn't take proper precautions at that point. Well, we got this. We can get through one more fight. Okay. No problem, Angry. I am probably going to be wrapping up here in the next few minutes since I've caught up to all of you guys. So if you have last questions and stuff, guys, get them in now because I'll probably be wrapping up here shortly. Um, if music comes to the world of Lux's voice, would you see Heather being her voice? I mean, it wouldn't be a bad choice lost. Um, honestly, it'd probably be a fairly good choice. No other deity besides the one I've already slated is going to be there in the short term, though. Yeah, probably, Rob. It's probably the fact that people are a little sleepy and stuff. But I'll stretch it out a little bit longer just in case. Uh, yeah, 1.5 hours is around. Sometimes two. It depends on how many people and the questions and stuff. The one he's been working on, his work in progress, Frank, super chunk. When I was talking to him though, he wasn't sure if that was going to be coming out before he had to work on something else. So the work in progress he's been working on, super chunk. When I talked to him, I was like, dude, that's like 3 books of mine. I need some art for the new place, so feel free to contact me later if you do release some for AG. Um, I'll do my best. When is the April live stream happening? I mean, that's a good point. Let me see. I have it slated for Saturday the 15th at 10 a.m. It is. It is an early live chat. So, I guess Andy wouldn't join me on that one. That's around the same time she's doing her podcast. I didn't think about that. She definitely will not be joining me next month. Maybe the month after that. I'm waiting for my alpha copy of Lightfoot 3. I mean, yeah. I'm also waiting for an alpha copy of the next Quantum Entanglement, so uh, no problem, guys. Thank you all for coming in. I really appreciate it. Uh, First live chat I was able to watch. Love your books. Well, thank you for being here. Hilarious. Um, and thank you for being a fan. I appreciate that. Wing, you as well. Thank you for coming in. First time chatters. So, just to mention for those people who are still here, if you want to be able to win one of the challenge coins, which you can find pictures of on Discord and Twitch and Facebook, you just need to be active in the chat. Ask questions. Make a comment that'll get me talking, and then your name gets put down on the list, and then I randomly draw 5 winners off that list, and then I message them here on Twitch, and then I mail them out a copy. And I've mailed coins to many different places across the world, as well as locally in the United States. So if you do want to if you do want to win a challenge coin in the future, just when you show up at one of the live chats, make sure to comment, question, get me talking about stuff. That's all. Uh, I think I'm about done. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, everyone. It looks like I've caught up on everything, so we're going to go ahead and call it there. So thank you for coming in. I appreciate all 40 plus of you, and those of you who stuck around through the entire thing, and those of you who stuck around as long as you can. I really appreciate it. Until next month, stay safe because the world is still kind of crazy. Bye.